Good morning, everybody. My name is Greg Mader. I'm president of Open Source Integrators. We're a US-based company. Show of hands, how many of you are other partners or integrators? Good chunk. How many of you have like wholesale distribution or trading companies? Okay, cool. Thank you. I really want to hear your opinions and see how it's different from what we're experiencing in the US, please. So in the US, we definitely see this, that often what starts a good trading company is they seem to have some sort of special skill in purchasing or know where to find good deals for a certain product line. Similarly, they instinctively know where to sell these products and the kinds of customers they connect with. The value they're adding is through that sourcing, that product information, perhaps some added on services or configuration or packaging. But that's really what we see kind of defines the trading companies that we work for, these wholesale companies. An observation I've had over the last 8 months or so as I've really considered this, it really is the best of times and the worst of times to be in this business. There's more sales and marketing channels. There's many more ways to engage with customers. If you're a customer, you can find products that are make to order or configured to some sort of special need very easily. And it's great that there's vendors out there that can do this through these wholesale and distribution sorts of companies. But the margin pressures are immense, especially on more commoditized products and a lot of competition as well. So it's a tough market to be in right now. I'd like to kind of talk about that and how Odoo fits into this environment. This is some of what I see regularly for customers that are in this market that Odoo and the ecosystem around Odoo people are asking for. Some things that tend to be kind of new. There's things that I think have been here for a while, like EDI and e-commerce, and just having good order management and kitting or light manufacturing that might be part of it too. But what's really changed that I see are things like repricers and repricers that may even be trying to reprice on the fly based on whatever customer history they get. Europe has had some has had interesting sales tax collection for some time. In the US, we're relatively new to trying to collect sales taxes for goods that are being sold. And the other thing that I think is kind of really a trend that we see strong is marketplace integration, Amazon, but a number of other marketplaces as well. Odoo does provide a complete foundation for this, but it's part of an overall ecosystem. And I see on a regular basis that there's needs for connections to these other third-party systems like a repricer, like a sales tax calculation engine. But Odoo very successfully does provide that complete foundation that you can build most of this on. Something that I think has changed, and this is perhaps why Odoo still has an advantage in these areas, is if you've looked at our competition from NetSuite or Microsoft Dynamics 365 or any number of other sorts of products in the same space, these four things that I'm suggesting a platform must be able to do are not always as easy. Odoo's remarkable with this ability to integrate quickly with other systems, engage with multiple sales channels. I'm excited about bringing back multiple storefronts and multiple shops. That's a good thing. So Alex, tell whoever did that, good job. And also this need to be able to engage with staff, customers, and vendors in some sort of a manner that takes advantage of social media and creates connections with people. So I feel like we're able to do these things pretty reliably with our customers. I'd like to talk about kind of the things that we see have exist out there, and I suspect everybody's been doing this already. There's some really good patterns for using Odoo and e-commerce directly, but also through connectors with Magento. And I have a couple examples of both these that I don't think you're going to be able to tell me which one's which. Okay, Magento or Odoo? I'll save for the end. How about that? This company is the world's largest, the largest distributor of blacksmith tools and farrier equipment in the United States. They're a really cool company. It turns out this is still not a huge industry, but back to the connecting with a niche and making something special that their customers identify with, they're doing that. Similarly, these guys sell parts to people that collect old BMWs, and they are great at connections and great at having something that speaks to their people. Again, question, Magento or Odoo? Who said Magento? All right, you're right. Good for taking a guess. Okay, this is a make-to-order computer company based in Vermont. Magento or Odoo? You know the answer, Alex, so you can't say. Okay. So what I think really needs to be the case is this customer-driven thing, make it easy to buy from somebody. And the mobile-friendly, we've talked, I'm sure everybody has thought about this, but there's fewer and fewer purchases done from anything even remotely like a laptop, and it's amazing what people are expecting to be able to buy, like entire cars or home sales even through mobile devices. So we see this regularly as we're talking to our staff. Something that I would also say is kind of current and state-of-the-art and modern is this idea of GIS analytics. Where are my customers? How can I optimize my routes or regions if I have some sort of delivery thing? Or where would I set up distribution centers? It also gets to the question of where am I not collecting or selling? Yeah, let me bounce out of this again. Oops. So this is just Odoo with the mapping front end on it. I fired this up before this meeting. Let's see. You can see regular Odoo order numbers being able to display in a map view, and even getting into the order lines in each order. And with this, I can clear this and I can show you the sales for the whole country. This is our first version of it. We have an improved version of this that is coming out shortly. So a bit of a heat map. You can see where this customer is primarily based in the Midwest, and you can kind of see what their sales looks like based on that. Again, I don't think this is really cool. We're excited to do it. We're evolving this, but I think this is something just smart wholesale marketers are doing, whether it's with Odoo or a map on the wall that they're putting pins in, or any number of things. Okay. Business intelligence and KPIs. That's another thing, is can we start to figure out what our sales are? How can we goose the sales? It was interesting to see the rainbow and unicorn thing yesterday that Fabian was demoing here. You know, I get it, and that resonates with what we see with our customers too, is that we're trying to get to something where we can tangibly show people quickly what their sales look like in pie charts, bar charts, things like that, and make this very visible. This is better and better at Odoo, within Odoo, but we still find that sometimes You want something that you can show on a big screen for everybody to be looking at here as they're trying to figure this out. Okay, so some industry challenges that we see. Survival in this low margin world. I'm very curious, in the US we're seeing industrial lease and rent prices go up for buildings too. There's a building in New York that Amazon just rented at $20 a square foot for industrial space. So if I'm doing the math in my head, roughly $100 a square meter in this location. It's in the city, it's easy to deliver from, but that's incredibly expensive. There's the offshore competitive factors too, where there's some offshore companies are realizing that they don't need a middleman in the US anymore, and they're selling directly from their home countries using international freight to ship directly to consumers. It's drop ship, but taking out the person who was going to be doing the drop shipping or before. So some things that might help. This is conversations we have continuously with our customers in this space. And I'll go into this a little bit more, but a sense of better, it's basically looking for efficiencies within these sorts of organizations and using the data that's provided by Odoo to create that information, that data that's going to be useful and valuable here. Better delivery means is a big part of it. Lower inventory, let's just get into it. So better delivery, one thing that we're working on very carefully with a couple of customers is routing and efficiencies in the delivery service for even from their warehouse to, say, the retailers they deliver to, and seeing if we can shave off a few percent of time, dollars, fuel costs here. This is something that we've been working on quite a bit to, we have people with operations research and analytical background, so we're working on algorithms that maximize this and working with the communities associated with that as well. The goal is this, as we're doing delivery orders in Odoo, we will be managing routing as well as part of that delivery scheduling. Lower inventory. There's a couple trends that we are very much a part of and we help with in every place we can. The first is, where possible, figuring out how to do make-to-order stock and have, for our companies that make things and then put them into, even like kitting, we're trying to minimize the amount of completed kits or products on a shelf and keep the inventory, the raw materials, as thin as possible too, with better forecasting. We're big believers in stochastic forecasting and finding seasonal patterns and things like that to drive out those inefficiencies. Similarly, where we can find drop ship situations and take ourselves out of possession of that good or material on the way, that's a way we can start to drive lower inventories as well. On the opposite end of the spectrum, better use of warehouse space. How many of you are kind of from the traditional row rack bin world of warehouse management? Yes. Okay, honest hands, yes, okay. Nothing wrong with it, and if you have the space, it's easy to train your staff, it's easy to manage, it's easy to do inventories. We're working with others to build more sophisticated warehouse management systems to manage, let's call it the Amazon approach, where they just, if they have free space, they shove it in there, and then with their optimizations, they're trying very hard to optimize for space, manage labor costs as best they can, but it's for them, it's about trying to reduce delivery time and keep the overhead, such as transportation and storage space, down. So this is another area that we're working on pretty hard. Better barcoding and automatic data collection. If you're going to do this, you need this. The handheld wedge scanners are awesome as kind of the starting point. within the Odoo community, there's some smaller companies that is kind of the appropriate technology. But when you get to be a certain size, you need to get the good equipment, and you need to build the bins and conveyor systems to make this work a lot better. RFID is always the technology of tomorrow. We are not seeing tons of RFID adoption, but we're working closely with, do they sell Intermec or Honeywell ADC equipment here in Europe? Okay, nobody knows. Haven't heard of that. Yes, I hear one yes. That's kind of the gold standard within the United States, is the top of the line, best quality, can take a beating and is going to stand up to the sort of stress you have in a warehouse.